Hello and welcome to Screen Views. I'm Dave.
I'm James.
And this is the weekly podcast where we give our views on a film and TV show.
Each episode is unscripted, unedited, so anything can happen. Listeners should be aware that we do include spoilers, so feel free to fast forward, rewind, or simply buckle up and enjoy a somewhat coherent conversation.
Our podcast is based on the idea that there's no such thing as a bad movie. Therefore, for every review, we'll give a recommendation instead of a rating.
But first up, we're going to have a quick discussion about what we talked about last week to see if our opinions have changed.
Here we go.
Yep, we're back.
We are.
We have a series.
It's almost like we never left, really.
Yeah.
Because we didn't.
No, we're always here. Whether you see us or not.
We did miss a Friday deadline
We missed...
for the first time
Yeah.
in Screen Views podcasting history.
We could.
But it's okay.
Who can we blame? Ourselves? Beyonce Knowles? That's probably her fault to some sort of capacity. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah. It's
Um,
always easier if you can blame other people for your inadequacies.
Yeah.
I find. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good form of defense.
Yeah.
Just go on the attack.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not that I do that in regular life.
No.
That sounds really bad now, doesn't it? I'm like trying to make out like I don't do it. But now people probably think that I do.
Yeah.
But I don't. I'm not that kind of person, James. Hopefully you can validate that somehow.
If you did do it, it wouldn't be your fault because it'll be someone else's fault.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So good.
But yeah, here we are.
Yeah. Last week we watched a series called Safe, and from Netflix.
Yeah.
I've not been tempted by it. I said I might watch the first episode again, but I haven't been tempted to watch it again.
Yeah.
I think what Netflix are doing, they're plowing out so much stuff now. It's no longer like a niche sort of thing. It's no longer the new Netflix show, because it's just always
Yeah.
it's always new shows, which is
And
a good thing and a bad thing. But I don't know, I used to really look forward to the next Netflix.
Yeah, well, it's also difficult to keep up, isn't it? Because they have stuff where they kind of make out that it's Netflix original, and then you like it's not Netflix original. Because like Happy that we're going to review today, is sort of
It's
in one
sci-fi,
way sold as a Netflix original, but then it's also sci-fi channel, and maybe it's just me. I'm not like paying attention enough, but it does seem that there's like this sort of weird. It's ours, but it's not ours, and you're like, okay, what is original content now, and what's not?
It's like I feel like if no one in this country's got dibs on it, they could buy it and then claim it's theirs.
Yeah,
So,
but
this is weird.
Be good if there was just clarity. I like clarity, James.
Yeah.
And on that note, what's your clarification of Safe?
Safe.
Are you still the same?
Yeah, it's still the same. I don't.
Yeah.
It's not even gone down. It's not gone up. It's just the same.
Yeah.
Disclaimer, like from like past episodes, I want to get over and done with now. Last episode, I said that I've never enjoyed Christmas. I've always enjoyed the people I spend Christmas with, and the people who make an effort on Christmas, and I spend Christmas Day. I always enjoy that. I just don't like the Christmas environment. So it wasn't a dig at friends and family. It was just, And also the next thing I want to clarify is I said that Cloak and Dagger was what I said it was Hulu when it wasn't, even though The Misfits is Hulu. And Cloak and Dagger is ABC, so from the same company who did Agents of Shields.
Right. Okay.
So that's how they're connected to.
Right. So a bit more confusion about who's producing what, or was it just?
I just got confused. However, I do feel like if I'll have some interesting things to say about Cloak and Dagger if we do review it.
Is there anything that Hulu has done that I would or the listeners would know about?
Yeah, possibly. Tune in next week and I'll have the answer.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah,
that's fair enough.
But they've probably quite a lot.
I'm putting you on the spot there.
Yeah.
Okay, so Safe is probably one
not that safe
to avoid. Yeah. But oddly compelling, I thought, and I think if you're the kind of person who likes, the odd crime thing, Don't need to concentrate. What did you call it? Did you say it was like one to watch when you're hoovering?
When you're hoovering, yeah, you don't even need to listen to the dialogue, and it's just there, and it's just like
that is brilliant.
Yeah, I think it's perfect.
I think we should keep that in the locker and then just bring it out every time there's a show like that.
Because it's not 100% terrible, but if you are spending every single second of the entire like show giving this, it doesn't deserve your full attention all the time. It doesn't own that respect, but there is some elements to it that are quite good.
Yeah. To be fair, it's not all bad.
No,
but it's not all good either.
Yeah,
and it's quite strange in places that do make sense and then don't make sense.
But with the cast and with how the cinematography, sometimes I sort of wish that the writing was up to scratch as well.
Yeah, I'd agree with that actually. Yeah. Like even British accents aside, I think the cast did a really good job. Yeah. And it could have been a lot worse without them. So yeah. Okay, cool. Should we move on?
Yeah, moving on to this week's Happy Monday. Okay. Happy Mondays.
Oh yeah,
we're recording this on a Monday. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't realise how it.
We should actually explain that. Yeah. So Happy Monday is our Monday podcast. Yeah. This is an unusual day for podcasting. We normally record on a Thursday and then release on a Friday. So we just got caught up a little bit with world events like the World Cup. Yeah. And our jobs. Yeah. That's end of term. Yeah. Busyness, but we're here on a Monday, a sunny Monday, and a happy Monday. Is it going to be a happy Monday, James?
Oh, it's nearly over, so take it how it is already. If you ain't happy yet, then you're not going to get it happier.
That was my link into the review.
Oh, sorry.
But
yeah.
So do you want to start off?
I mean, I've seen the whole season. We should explain. I've seen the whole season, and David's seen an episode of the season. Yeah,
and it's available on Netflix. Yeah, and anyone who hasn't seen it, it's about a was a cop, an ex-cop who's turned hitman, and he starts to see a blue unicorn. Yeah, in his visions. Yeah, who's an imaginary friend. Yeah.
I think so. I'll dive right into it. I'm probably just I'm gonna try not to spoil things, but I'm just gonna discuss the issues I had with the show and all the positives I had with the show. And
again, we're in the review section, so spoilers are fine. I'm okay with that.
Cool. You probably will be after I say everything that I have to say. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be fine. Yeah. The listeners should be aware that we will include spoilers.
Yeah. So Happy. This is it's based on a comic book graphic novel. I've not read a graphic novel myself. Okay. Now that I know it's based on a graphic novel, I can it gives me a little bit more appreciation with that little bit of knowledge. It doesn't necessarily change the whole show for me, but I can sort of understand some of my criticisms, which I'm going to bring up, are sort of understandable now that I know it's based on a graphic novel.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the whole show has got that kind of graphic novel feel to it, hasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. This is a show that is, on paper, is meant to be original. There's nothing else like this. It's it's out there, and it's just different, and it's just kooky and crazy, and it's non-stop. And it's from the same producers as Crank as well, which was a surprise hit with Jason Statham. Yeah. And you sort of see that influence in
I think if you watch Crank, the Crank films, and then you watch this, you're like, okay, that makes sense. Yeah. In the way that it's shot and the way that it's constructed.
Yes, it seems like an original thing, but for me, I don't start to go to negative straight away, but they will have context. For me, it's sort of I've seen it done better. We have Daredevil, and we have Dirk Gently. Now, when Daredevil came out, the amount of brutal action straight away, and when Netflix really brought out the action when it comes to fight and action and just high pace scenes, and that always stands out to me. And Dirk Gently is also a really interesting quirky, kooky sort of thing. And I think what Dirk Gently does is it decides to do all this quirky stuff, but it understands the budget which it has. And one of my biggest issues with this series is not an appreciation for its budget. I feel like they've gone in there thinking we need this scene, 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 we need this scene. Now, we are definitely going to pour money into these scenes, and then we're just going to work with whatever we've got left. Now I know it's based on a comic book. I could kind of understand someone going in there thinking, well, I want this visual look for this. It has to be right for these things. And it's also. So I'm just going on a huge tangent here.
Right.
And before I go structure one for one, because these issues are throughout all the episodes. And the other thing I have an issue is it sets its own rules within this universe, but then keeps breaking its own rules within this universe.
Oh, we don't like the breaking of logic.
No, yeah, and it's sort of like not at all, and it's sort of like that kept on really annoying me because I kept thinking, well, I don't know where I'm standing here. I don't know what to expect. I don't know what to root for.
Yeah, it's like the Westworld season 2.
Yeah,
we're gonna make a new rule, then we're gonna break it. The rule wasn't there for the first season. Now, it's like just you need sort of consistency, don't you?
Yeah, and it just doesn't do it. But that's my general. I can look at every single episode, and then them comments, as I said, are just are quite readily applied to them. Yeah.
See, I sort of I agree with what you're saying because I know that we've watched Legion, which uses its budget really well.
Yeah.
I agree. I love Dirk Gently. We've spoken about Dirk Gently a lot. I feel like it's such a disappointment to think that we're not going to get to review that on this show if the funding doesn't come for that third season. And if you've not seen Dirk Gently, I'd definitely recommend it. This show's got that very comic book graphic novel style, and I instantly sort of watched it and thought there's a little bit of Sin City in this. And I don't know whether that's just the amount of green screen or the frame rates, or just like you say, that it's got that graphic novel look and feel to the way that it's done. I mean, I think that's a positive, because I think if you can sort of pick up some of the sort of influences or the style straight away, it's doing quite a good job in that sense. But I think the issue lies is, for me, watching the first episode, I just wasn't drawn in. Like, I wasn't. I didn't think the character sort of building was there.
No.
The character, the main character especially, is kind of like fully established as a character before, we go into anything. And so there's obviously mention of him being this amazing cop, and that he's like sort of a bit down and out. I mean, but I don't know. Like, I think the ingredients of the show for me are sort of there. And so, if somebody explained the show to me on paper, I'd be like, this sounds like my kind of show.
Yeah.
This sounds like everything that I would love from a show.
Yeah.
But for me, there was just something in that first episode that wasn't connecting. And you can probably tell that the fact that I've only watched one episode is that my reaction to this show wasn't a very positive one. It wasn't completely negative. In some ways, I was probably think that if I watched the whole season, I'd probably enjoy this a bit more than Safe that we watched. But
definitely.
Somehow I found Safe a bit easier to consume and a bit easier to watch. And I don't know whether it's because this show is trying to be out there or is trying to do something different, and that should be commended. Is that the right word? Commended?
Yeah.
But
I as I was watching it, I began to realize when I laugh 4 times within the show, and 2 and like two in the one before the last episode, and two times in the last episode. The only time I actually laughed out loud, and there were actually quite really funny moments, but I know that it just tries so hard for the rest of it. I know it's
yeah. I feel like teenage me would love this. Maybe. Do you think?
Yeah, I just because the main character Nick Sachs, he's changing inside, and he's a very good actor. Christopher Melanie.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, is that his name? I have no idea.
Yeah, he was in Superman. He was in the Man of Steel film.
He was actually in Sin City, wasn't he?
Oh, was
like
it?
Mort, I think.
Oh, I do. I do
realize. Like he's kind of one of those recognisable actors.
I don't think they gave him enough. I think they just relied on his acting skills to change his personality rather than. Sometimes I don't want you to write. I want an actor to really be able to change your characters, change your opinion about a character, and if you see then thoughts. But I thought they relied on that a bit too much. I thought the whole first half of the season, it's like I don't care about anybody else. I'm not going to save anybody. I'm just there for myself. And then suddenly he changes and he turns and he said, "No, I do care about them." And I know I just seemed a bit.
Yeah,
I didn't really care about any of the characters. I mean, I'm really glad we got to see Richie Costa again, who plays Francisco. He plays Blue. And last time I saw him was in the Dark Knight trilogy.
All right.
And he was actually he's in the Dark Knight, and I really enjoyed him in the Dark Knight. So I don't know. It's I just thought they had so many different storylines, but I didn't care about any one of them enough. I think if I wasn't watching this for this podcast, I don't think I would have carried on that much, which is a bit of a shame.
Whereas I just gave up after the first episode. I mean, for me, I would give parallels with this show to American Gods. That's on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, I'm tempted to watch that, but I haven't.
Well, and I think the similarities for me is this kind of style over substance, and so you're watching a show that's very stylistic, and there's these big sort of interesting kind of special effects.
Yeah. But
the problem is that by the end of the first episode or the first setup of the characters, I really don't care about the characters, and that for me is an issue, because what for me should come above all else is that I should be invested in their goal or their target. And I mean, if you think about Breaking Bad and think about what that show does in the first episode, is it really gets you to care about the main character and his plight. Yeah. And the fact that he's dying, and the fact that he doesn't have any money, and the fact that he's not sure about who he is as a person. He's been taking shit from people his whole life, and you really the 3-dimensional character is there, and you're behind him. You know that what he is doing is wrong, but by the end of the first episode, you want him to succeed in his goal. Yeah. And so for all the rest of the seasons, however ridiculous they kind of get, that foundation is there from the start. Yeah. Whereas this show is first scene, he's in a toilet. And we have this big fantastical fantasy of him shooting himself in the head, and dancing around with these half naked women, and this is some sort of idea of his kind of psyche, that he's suicidal, but what he still wants to have sex with beautiful women. It doesn't really connect in a way that I'm sort of thinking, this character is something. I think I just need a bit more. Why is he down and out? Why has he had this fall from grace? Where is he coming from? I feel like there should have been some sort of setup of how moralistic he used to be, and there's maybe some sort of change that's happened. Like
they do attempt to do it later on, however, it's just not good enough. I mean, like if you watch like 3 or 4 like programs in, you'll get to the mantis, and you're thinking, that's not good enough.
Yeah, But for me, it just sort of needs to be there. And I think, there were some like interesting moments. I thought, like in the first episode, where he's coming to grips with seeing the unicorn, and some of those moments are quite funny. There's the bit where he is getting tortured, and then he gets out of that, and then he does the. He pretend. I don't. The fire extinguisher moment where he uses the fire extinguisher and like as if he's peeing, and I'm kind of like sort of set this up as if I liked that moment, but now I'm sort of saying it. I'm like, that moment like was slightly annoying, because slightly before that, the evil guy was like, "I'm gonna chop your penis into like salami slices," but then. I don't know if you noticed, but there was like quite a long time from him turning on the saw and no actual penis cutting happening. What was he doing down there? It was a good couple of minutes, and that those kind of little details just stop me. They take me out of the moment, and I just sort of think, well, hang on, he could have like really done some damage there.
And there's also about damage. I know you're in the first episode, but also this is a sort of show which doesn't actually take into account the damage which our main protagonist is having. Because if his protagonist gets shot, you need like a little scene of him going, oh. But then the rest of the show, which is like in a span of a couple of days, it doesn't. There's no suggestion of like gun wound punches in his body. There's no like. And so they sort of set him up as like this sort of super character when I just got because the whole like the first episode, like he's having this heart attack and he gets to the hospital and he's really weak. They sort of establish that this guy does get knocked down, but then he uses all his strength to fight with whatever he's got left. But then they like quickly lose that, and they just make him like a super invincible character, and he's always getting hit, he's getting shot, he's getting run over, and he's getting like, and it just becomes a bit like, how am I gonna like worry about him dying? How am I gonna worry about these fight sequences if you just made him invincible? It's just
But even if somebody but again, establish the rules of that invincibleness. Like, because if if you're, we know with Superman that like bullets can't harm him, but kryptonite can. We know, like, the rules, don't you? Like with Daredevil, his in the Netflix series, his like vision. We know that's part of his sort of like power and also part of his vulnerability. But we know that if he gets sort of, I mean, even that takes liberties. But you sort of know that there's some consequences to a fight. I know what you mean. Like, it's like when the recovery is like pretty instant,
and it's also when he's got the drill and he gets out of it, there's all of a sudden there's a spray of blood, but no suggestion of whose blood that is, who got cut, did he just cut his own
this
junk
is what
off,
I mean about like style over. It's just like violence for the sake of violence. That is always a problem in shows, because it's like, the Punisher. The violence is there for a reason, because it always links back to his character, but also, we don't. It's not violence every single episode, all violent. Because if it was, you become like immune to it. It's like swearing. Like, if characters are swearing all the time, it has less impact than if they swear like very occasionally. But it has more power or more weight because they've not sworn before. And it's like you need to find that balance about like who their character is in terms of reality, but also having an impact on the audience. Like, and I mean, and then I suppose like Sin City, if you think about like some of the characters in that, they're kind of superhuman, but it's never sort of fully explained.
Yeah.
But it's sort of okay, and it sort of works. So I don't know whether it's just because it's expanded over a TV show, it just becomes a bit more repetitive.
I don't know. Well, I don't know. I think just because in the first episode you've got like the half the episode is showing that he can be vulnerable. He had like the heart attack or something.
Yeah.
And he's in the hospital. Then
changes.
They bring him back to life. Like,
well, they inject him with some like adrenaline as well. Don't they?
Yeah. And I don't know. You can't start off your show showing the vulnerabilities of somebody and never going back to the vulnerabilities again.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of stuff he gets into in this show, and like in the next scene, there's no indication. He just has a limp, and it's sort of like, no, you're in pain. Or there's no like, oh, I need to keep taking these drugs, like these painkillers, just so I can avoid this pain. I don't know. There's no like, even if I know it's like nothing, but even if it was like he was always taking these painkillers because every time.
Yeah. Or even if there's just an explanation as to where the world sits. You know, is he like other people like that? Is he the only one? It's like,
because
or is it just?
It got to a point where I'm thinking, okay, in the opening title sequence, then how barbaric was that for him to shoot himself and still be alive? In terms of like, I know it is stupid, but the show kept on doing so much stupid stuff. Like,
but that was kind of like a fantasy, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it just made me just thinking, okay, well, I don't know. I don't understand. Was that real? And is he dead now? And I don't know.
What is the whole show like? Not real.
Yeah.
Is the whole show a fantasy?
Yeah. And then you had the kid storyline.
Does that go on? Because you only see like a little bit of that in the first episode.
Yeah, she gets a storyline. You get to see her. Like, you get to see what
her hanging out with Santa.
Yeah, and the Santa character, and it's like on paper, I think this show looks amazing.
When like visually, it looks pretty good. Are we saying for most of it? What were the sort of budget issues? Was that visually or just story wise?
I kept on thinking about the graphics of the
unicorn
on the imaginary friends, because you get to see more imaginary friends within the show. Yeah.
Well, it's called, the unicorn's called Happy, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's why the show. Yeah, okay.
But they are great for certain scenes. I feel like this is a great show for making a trailer. Like all the different shots and all the different visuals, all the different. Well, and there's certain scenes where that it looks amazing, but for the rest of it, it doesn't look that good. And I just feel like, cut that down to 2D animation. Don't have him interact with the world as much, because you've established that he's just imaginary, so he can't move anything, he can't make contact with anything, and then you sort of establish he can move stuff, and he can.
Oh really?
Yeah,
that's not established in the first episode. No, and
it annoys me. It annoyed me. There's like 2 points where I'm thinking, hang on a second, how can this be? This doesn't make any sense.
The only thing that I can think of in the first episode is he grabs hold of the unicorn. But even that was weird, because up to that point, it was like, there's like a physical crossover when he grabs him. He jumps in the lift and he grabs him and pulls him down with him.
I don't mind that, like, because it's him sort of like...
Yeah, it's in his own head. That kind of makes sense. Yeah. But even then, is that them trying to tell? What I'm getting at is was that them trying to tell the audience that there is a physicality to the character, and maybe clutching at straws a bit here.
There's also the fact that it's clearly the imaginary friend clearly is real because of the information the imaginary friend passes over to. Though you never think at the end of the show thinking, was it real or was it imaginary? Like, was it actually? Is he just going crazy, or was it? I kind of would like it, like, because it gets to a point where in the hospital scene, he goes, the unicorn goes out, Happy goes out and counts the guys. He goes back. Oh, there's 5 of them, And it's sort of like, I really wish they didn't establish that. I really wish they kept it to like a,
Yeah.
oh, is he or isn't he? Is he or isn't he? Like,
yeah, or the fact that, but that's like could have been a bit more subtle if you didn't have the scene later on when he's saying, "Hang on, how did you know there was 5 people? Oh, you're actually useful to me."
Yeah.
It would be because the bits that I really liked in the first episode were the bits where somebody was trying to have a conversation with him, and he was trying to have a conversation with the unicorn and the person in the room, and so the person in the room is just thinking this guy's like a little bit schizophrenic.
Yeah.
And those kind of moments were like the best moments in the first episode for me, because they really did like, you know, because they were funny, because he was reacting to the unicorn or the person or vice versa, and like it. But you know, the people were like, "What is he doing? Like this guy's a bit crazy." Yeah, and and those were those kind of moments that maybe they should have jumped on a little bit more.
Yeah, and it's also they do quite a lot of more stuff to say. Okay, so the unicorn's actually real, because basically the unicorn starts translating Chinese for him, and the unicorn starts reading people's poker cards, and the unicorn just keeps doing loads of like this random stuff, and it's just like, this became silly. And like the kid storyline was interesting, because then she's also kidnapped with other kids as well, and which they don't actually show. They show the other kids in the first episode, but then they don't show them again until like the third or fourth episode. And just, I don't. That's budget wise. You can only hire them for a certain amount of time, but you know, show the kids are there and then not show them at all. Because like I got through like the third episode thinking, oh, has he killed all the other kids and he's keeping this one kid behind? Is that what this show's telling me? And the next scene is you see all the kids. I'm thinking, okay, well. Oh, why? I'm following your rules here. I'm trying to work out what you're trying to tell me, and because you're not giving me all the information, I'm making wrong predictions, and it means I'm no longer following the show, because my narrative is I now have to reset my narrative.
Yeah, because it's not interesting misdirection, isn't it? It's like if you're going to misdirect an audience, it needs to be interesting, or you need to reveal something to the audience that the characters don't know. But the audience do, and like get that intrigue going in that way.
They can't hide anything in this show. They can't. So like when they try and set something up for later on, I like for you to go back. Oh, 1 second, because they show a character out of focus talking, and I'm thinking, I know what that is. Okay, so I know what's going to happen later on, and then in the second to last episode. Big reveal, a big twist happens, and I'm like, yeah, I saw it before. It wasn't that subtle. It wasn't that.
Right, yeah.
And it was just like,
yeah.
Here's
a question: do any of the main characters die? Is there any?
No.
Okay. So there's no sort of like.
No, but then when you I'm not gonna spoil any other shows, but like when you watch like stuff like Daredevil, Dirk Gently, like a lot of like the Netflix stuff, which really goes out there. There have been some occasions where you think, wow, they just killed that person, they just killed that person, they killed that person, even the lighter stuff.
Yeah.
And
you know, a show that kills off people really well. Do you?
I know what you're about to say. Yeah,
couldn't resist.
Yeah,
couldn't resist, James. Sorry,
but
yeah, no, I agree. Like, I think, but again, it's this thing, like you say, if the main character is invincible and we don't know what their weakness is, where's the threat? Yeah, like, you know, and it comes back round to. I know I keep obsessing about this Thanos moment in the Avengers with Hulk at the start, but. You know, you do get that. You need to have that feeling that there's some sort of threat. Yeah. And even with the Santa Claus and the kid, it was just like, oh, he's just like shut her in a box. Yeah. But like, either she's going to starve to death or he's going to like feed her and keep her in the box. Like you getting, you know, like I don't know.
The one thing which I actually really thought like was really well done in the show was the fact that the storyline of the kid and this random guy taking this random like Santa Claus taking the kid, and the storyline of everybody else, and there's already this big world of like big mobsters and stuff is already going on.
Oh, yeah.
I quite like the parallels of like two separate stories. But then again, you get like halfway through it and you realize it's not two separate stories. It's one big twisted story, and everybody's connected to everything.
Yeah, of course.
And
Yeah, like, but you can see that coming from the first.
I kind of like the idea of this guy in this gangster world who's now dealing with somebody who, it's like the Joker in the Dark Knight. Batman has all this experience with criminals, but this is somebody with a completely separate storyline. This is somebody with a completely separate narrative. We don't know yet. We have no idea. But their paths cross.
And that's why that scene with Michael Caine in Dark Knight. Is it Alfred? Is he called Alfred?
Yeah.
It's like really important where he's explaining about his experiences with, or like in the jungle. And it was like you don't. You know, like some people, I think it's the bit where he says some people just want to see the world burn. But he explains the psyche of the Joker in this like story, which is that you can't treat this with the right amount of logic because there is no logic to this person, or their motives might be what you think that person's motives are completely different, and so you need a different approach here.
That's what I would really look for. That's what I thought was happening. That's what I kind of looking forward to, but I didn't. I love the idea of like, our main character is crazy and this person's crazy, but they're two completely separate types. And
so I don't. I'm assuming that is it Blue?
Yeah,
the
Blue.
Gangster is the main sort of antagonist in this story.
No, well, he's got a boss as well.
Oh, really?
Which is so silly and stupid. The boss turns up in like a costume. And so Blue's like really afraid of this guy in like this huge weird beetle fetish costume.
Oh, right. Well, like there's a thing with that in the first episode, isn't there? With the like lobster.
Yeah, and that's thinking, it's like a running theme, and like, it's not, and it's just like.
But it's also just like
I might just tell you the big baddie.
Go on, spoilers.
So the big baddie is is who the kid goes to see. You know, the performer.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And he's basically is through Blue. I was organised him to steal children. So Blue hires the Santa Claus to steal children, and then random people buy these children. So this it's like this trafficking thing. Yeah. They also don't know what to do with some characters. So the mother of the child, they realise that they need to put her somewhere, and so they lock her inside this fetish sort of environment. And every now and again, we go back to her going, "Oh my god, this is so weird." I'm like traumatized.
Sounds awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like that's the other thing that I didn't quite. You know, I sort of. It's just this like gangster. I don't know, like you know when. So I'm trying to think what like I can compare it to, because like, you know, in Luke Cage, you know, that you really sort of understand who the antagonist is, what their motivations are, how they're connected. Well, both.
Yeah.
Because there's the like political connection with his is it his aunt or his mum, or I can't remember who.
I think,
you know, there's a like this mixing of politics.
Yeah,
you know,
family,
and you know, it's all. I'm sort of saying it's clear, but I can't. My memory's not working out as well. But it's just, I don't know. It's just this like pseudo sort of world that is what like meant to be our world, but not our world. You know, like I think for me, maybe if you're gonna do that stylistic kind of Sin City, just go the whole way. And I know it's probably unfair to say this because Sin City, you know, the comic book, the way that graphic novel is put together, you know, it's very
film noir.
Like, it's all done in a certain style. Yeah, but it's also it's away from our world enough that you can suspend your disbelief a bit more. Whereas this show just feels a bit quite grounded within the reality of our world in its setup, but then it's also and it's not clear enough that it's out there. Do you know what I mean? Like, because with Dirk Gently, it's sort of out there and it's kind of it's sci-fi. Yeah. But it's like within the laws of our world, it still kind of makes sense that we don't know about these people with abilities or kind of not abilities. Yeah. And like it kind of works, but this I just didn't like. Where is it? Is it a superhero thing? Is it not a superhero? Is it like a
Dirk Gently, they could. I feel like they can explain stuff and for me to believe it. And they're saying, well, I can see this person because I can see all these different planes and I can connect with the air. It means a message can get to me, but you can't see the message. And I feel like they can do something to explain.
But at the same time, the main character can look at that person saying all of those things and go, this guy's just crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
Because there's no evidence and it just works.
Yeah.
And obviously, the more you see, the more evidence you sort of see. But,
one of the things I will stop talking about this, Johnny, in a minute. But like one of the great things with like Elijah Wood's character is him slowly thinking, like turning towards like the Johnny's point of view. And then the great thing about season 2 is like he's too much into it, and he's more like the Johnny in season 2 at the beginning than the Johnny is, and
But it's like the more he starts to believe, the more he sort of possibly could be perceived as crazy by the outside world as well. Yeah, and it's like it's well done in that sense. Where I think for me this show had a lot of potential that's just not really fulfilled enough within the first episode.
I think it had so many storylines but couldn't get one of them right. And I feel like the characteristics of everybody was just a bit off and a bit wrong, and they couldn't really complete any of the characters really well. Even like the gangster, even like Smoothie, the torturer about chopping his.
Oh right, him. Yeah. Even he's in like a lot of David Lynch stuff, isn't he?
Possibly.
I think he's in Twin Peaks and
Lynch.
He's been in loads of stuff. He's like really good actor.
But I don't think it was a great character. It was just like I think they use him too much, way too much, and he doesn't really evolve. And like I say, it made me laugh. If this is meant to be a laugh out loud comedy, it only made me laugh in the last 2 episodes on 2 separate times of each one. Yeah. If it's meant to be a hard action movie, establish your rules. You don't go. I need to know if I'm worried about this character or I'm not. If it's meant to be a drama, I don't connect with any of the characters. I think if you just make a list of everything that how you view a film, it just doesn't. They're good points with all of them, but it's just not enough to give it a good score.
Well, it's very difficult to pinpoint. Like, is it superhero? Is it a cop? Like, is it noir? Is it like what is it trying to be? Like even if it's trying to be an alternative superhero thing, like I don't see that. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, because it's not about his powers. It's about his like him seeing this, imaginary.
I think one thing which really I've realised I compare it to Die Hard. The Die Hard is sort of like a guy who just relentlessly going because it's like a non-stop sort of thing, and it's sort of like in this.
Well, Crank is quite similar in that sense, isn't it?
Crank was very good with its rules, especially the first one.
Yeah,
because it's sort of like there's hardly any rules, and like you're there for the journey, and I felt like Crank was such an enjoyable film because it's sort of like the established sort of film was very early on,
Yeah.
and you can just sit back, relax, and just enjoy it for what it
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
It's not an amazing
Well,
movie,
that's
but
why
it's
I think maybe if this was a film, we'd feel very differently about this show, maybe. Because it obviously it would be a film, but you wouldn't have that time to like expose itself.
Yeah, yeah.
And like, I think if I'd seen what I'd seen in the first episode over the course of an hour and a half, I might have come away a bit happier.
Yeah, yeah. I really wanted to like it because, like I say, it's
me
like
too.
on paper and when you're just watching like clips,
Yeah,
there are some enjoyable moments in it, like a trailer.
yeah.
But when you watch it as a cohesive like whole show,
Yeah,
it just falls flat.
but that's it. Like for me, so like coming into the review portion for this show, for me, there's too much style, not enough substance.
Yeah.
So I do think if you're, I think this would be suited to a teenage audience quite a lot. I think they'd really like it because it's gratuitous violence for the sake of violence a lot of the time. It tries to be funny with those violent moments. It doesn't really care about drama or character development. Quite easy to watch, quite fun to watch. You're not gonna get upset too much. So I think it probably works very well for a teenage audience.
Yeah.
I think I haven't seen, again, it's interesting because for me there's a very similar aspect to this show that you see in the first episode of American Gods. Now, I've been told that American Gods gets better after the first episode, so maybe we need to go back to that at some point and maybe do it as part of this podcast. But it's this very like there's cool techniques, cool styling going on, like interesting sort of graphics. So there's a lot of style in there, a lot very stylistic. But for me personally, just too much style, not enough substance. So I think if you're the kind of person who likes something a bit like stylized, but also it just goes through the paces quite quickly, plenty of action, you like a bit of like dirty humor with violence, this show's gonna like appeal because it has got that, like you say, there's a lobster guy getting a blowjob, and and like
there's a walking corpse as well.
Just like weird sort of kind of humor. So I think it's quite offbeat. So I think if you like something a little bit different, you're going to enjoy this show. I think if you like things a bit more mainstream, perhaps not going to enjoy this show so much. But it's certainly for me not something that to get your teeth into, not something to like. It's not a think piece. It's not gonna, it's not gonna make you question like how society is constructed, or it's not gonna give you those additional aspects that subjectively I would want from a show. And so I sort of think if it was teenage me reviewing this, it would be a very different story. I'd probably be loving it. So for me, that's where I would put this show, is very much for teenagers.
I agree. I also think my weird sort of like recommendations, if you need to watch something and if you need to stay up really late, let's say you need to stay up till like 5 o'clock because you need to readjust your body clock, and so you don't know what to watch between 1 a.m. in the morning and 5 a.m. in the morning, this show you can watch without actually concentrating that much, just enough to be on the screen to be visually okay. Get yourself some ice cream, sit down, try and stay awake, reset your body clock. You're going to go away this holiday, you want to come back and your jet lag and your body clock's all messed up and you need to waste 5 hours at night time. I think this is the only time I would recommend you watch this show.
I love it. We've got a Hoover watching show, now we've got a jet lag show. I like it. Because
it just doesn't, like, it's just there. It's like, you want action, there, you want comedy, there, you want this, there. It's like it's someone was like, who doesn't know how to make something just put everything together. There, this is what you've asked for. This is exactly what you've asked for, and yeah.
So yeah, sort of. Yeah, I know what you mean. Bit of like does what it says on the tin a bit, but I think there's a little bit offbeatness to it maybe. Yeah. But I agree, it might be a good one to watch on a plane as well. If you've got like you can't like fully concentrate because there's a lot going on around you. Maybe
if you haven't seen any kooky stuff and you haven't actually, if you don't really explore in terms of like what you normally watch, then maybe give it a go and see if you do like this, then go on to watch like stuff like Dirk Gently or Legion, because they're examples of them doing it a lot better. But I wouldn't rush to watch this.
No. Like I wouldn't. You know, if somebody said I need a Netflix show, it wouldn't be top of my list of recommendations.
So like coming into this review, I knew that I compare it to Daredevil in terms of the action, because when it does do the action, it tries to do it hard, and I felt like that the same way with Daredevil as well. Daredevil very successfully had stylish, hard action, but where you cared about the character. For me, that's like one of the first shows which I saw that on screen. You get it all the time now, but I didn't expect it with Daredevil, and also the kookiness of Dirk Gently. I feel like this. I wish the team that made Dirk Gently made this. I think it'll be a lot.
Yeah.
Different. It could be.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Should we move on to next week?
Yeah, next week.
Do we agree on what we're doing next week, James?
Yeah, we can do Arrested Development. I'll have to catch up.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I'm currently watching the re-edited version of season 4.
Four.
So that was the first one that came out on Netflix. And it's funny actually. At the start of this episode, I spoke about the in not being clear what's Netflix, what's not. At least with Arrested Development, they say a semi-original Netflix show. So I quite like that. But so season 4 re-edited is better. So sorry, I'm getting into the review. But for me, having seen, because you won't see the old series 4 version, I don't think it's available anymore. So if you do get that far, it's better than the other one. But I haven't got as far as season 5, which is obviously the main motivation behind sort of doing this show.
I'm so basically The Killing is an interesting one that Netflix did. So basically it's The Killing was at Netflix. I can't remember what company it was, but basically a company did the first 2 seasons of The Killings,
right? And
then they axed it, and Netflix said, well, "Hang on a second, like let's do this together." Yeah. And so Netflix partially paid for the production of The Killing season 3, and then people loved it. But then the company decided to axe it again, and Netflix said, "No, let us buy the whole thing, and we'll do the 4th season." And then Netflix did the 4th season, and it's kind of interesting the way Netflix is sort of like stuck to its guns and said, "No, this is what we want. We're going to aim for it. And if you're not going to do it, then why not let us do it?" And so,
I mean, I feel like there's been a bit of like Netflix.
Oh wow,
Netflix.
No, Netflix. That should be like
that's it. Like
that's
like
Netflix
pirate,
sort of like
it's like the pirate version of like Netflix.
Yeah.
Netflix. Netflix. I feel like there's been a little bit of like what sounds like Netflix bashing, but that's not what we're saying. Like I love like a lot of what Netflix is doing. It's like I think they've made some like bold choices that have changed the way in the way that we consume TV, but also the way that like we think about TV shows. And Daredevil, I guess, being one of those kind of bold moves that stands out.
Also comedians as well. Having 3 comedians on there and
just like moving the sort of medium in forward in lots of good ways. And I could never like criticize any provider who brings back Arrested Development, because for me, and I was watching Civil War again, and I saw the Netflix the Arrested Development reference in that film the other day as well, because we spoke about the Avengers one.
I know the Avengers one.
Sort of the shows
one.
that like how culturally significant this show is in terms of its transfer to like directors who are now like making references in a way that Arrested Development as a show would make references. So I'm really looking forward to season 5. I can't wait to get around to it, but it's just trying to get through season 4 again. Because it's better, but there's a lot of episodes to get through, so I'm just trying to re-go over
season 1, episode 1. So,
So,
I've got to do some. I was saying, David, I've got to do some DIY tonight, so I'll be doing it. I'll have a Arrested Development on while I'm doing it. So I'll let you know if it's a perfect show for DIY.
Or just perfect show for like watching. But I think this is going to be an interesting one, because you obviously know how I feel about this show going into the review. So normally we don't like sort of. We don't know what each other's reaction is going to be. So, but then you don't know how I'm going to feel about season 5. If we'd been doing this podcast after season 4 had come on Netflix, people might be thinking that, I've thought very differently about the show than I do. But I think whatever happens, it's one of those shows that I think I was a fan when it wasn't culturally significant and people weren't raving about it, and it's always like you're always a good feeling that you're there on ground level, you're there at the start and ahead of the game and all that, and so I think it's no surprise that and Game of Thrones I sort of have these kind of like special connections with, because I was talking, and luckily I got into Arrested Development through a friend, so I was talking about I wasn't like, I didn't discover it myself, but this was way before it got like massive, and the same with like happened with Game of Thrones I think a little bit, but anyway that's a side point. I'm just looking forward to it if I can actually get through it. There's so many episodes, which is great, but
so that'll be next week, won't it?
Hopefully, we've got some mini-sodes to come up as well.
We'll do the monthly round of mini-sodes, and
hopefully a lot more activity than there has been.
We
need to like ramp up the episodes, because we've got some mini-sodes to get through, bit of cinema, bit of TV. All good, all the usual. We can say that now, James, as well. It's like usual. It's like when you go into you're such a regular at the like fish and chippy or a kebab shop, and people like know your order, and you just go in and you just say, "Can I have the usual?"
I had that,
or they just give you the nod. That's even better. And they just give you the nod.
My work here, I had that at my work here for breakfast. I used to go around and go, "Oh, you want 2 eggs, 2 bacon, 2 sausage, some toast, and beans, and some mushrooms." Yes, please. I was like, I had a big breakfast, but always good to and hopefully you pop back, and I say hopefully, I know you'll pop back, because if you don't, we hate you. Not really. I don't know. I'm just tired. So
it's okay. We're not like threatening the listeners at all or anything, James.
No.
But so, just treat us like a order at the kebab shop. Your usual. Switch on
when you're sober.
Listen. I don't know. Just trying to make a connection there somehow.
I don't know. So
we'll just give you the nod. We'll give you the sound equivalent of a nod. I don't know what that would be. Just be like a hey.
But we'll catch you soon, and we'll let you know about Arrested Development and if our opinions change on Happy at all. So
look forward to it.
All right.
Next episode.
Peace out. All right.
Bye-bye.